All right, so we are live. So we are here today with the fabulous Martin Seville. And he's just made me laugh so much because I said to him, it's just a fireside chat. And he's brought the fire with him. I love it. That's so fabulous.
Chat without a fire.
You've set the bar high. I'm going to have to bring a fire with me every time I do an interview now. So the fabulous Martin, who has been running a workshop this morning and has made time out of his busy day to come and join us to tell us about his journey to now. So first of all, Martin, tell us where you are. I don't even know where in the country you are right now.
Right now, I am home. I'm in Gloucestershire in the UK, and it's gorgeous. So yes, and if you watch Doctor Who at the weekend, Doctor Who came to Gloucester. So there you go. And they were actually in Gloucester Cathedral. So there you go.
We have it recorded because my boys are Doctor Who crazy. And I have to say, I'm loving the new Doctor. I don't know about you, but I think she's brilliant.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Ladders is doing good. And if you haven't watched it yet, there's a big surprise. And we can talk about that on another time.
Okay, right. Enough of Doctor Who. So, tell me a little bit about you, because I know you came from a corporate background. Now you are entrepreneur extraordinaire. But tell us what your background was and how you arrived at the place that you're at now.
Yeah, great question. Okay, so yeah, corporate. 20 years in the corporate world. Investments, pensions, that kind of really exciting stuff. It was supposed to be like a 2 years and then I'll get my proper job, and it turned out to be 20 years. So you know, these things happen, but actually the more people I speak to, the more people kind of feel like they get trapped in a work world that they felt like they weren't going to be spending too long a time in. So it's actually quite a common problem, issue, challenge, shall we say. So yeah, 20 years there, and that all started when I finished my A-levels and I was kind of ready to go out into the world, you know, as a man. And you know, I was musical, I was creative, I was a sociable, outdoorsy sort of person and sporty. And then there was this voice in the back of my head that said, Martin, now you've got to be credible, got to be professional, you've got to be successful, whatever that actually means. And nobody had that conversation with me. Nobody said those words to me, but it was just this voice in my head that said, now that you're leaving education, you know, now you've got to make your mark. And I drifted into business. It was like, right, now I've got to go to university then and study business. Not that that was something that really drove my passion in terms of the education system, but I did it and got through it, and then I ended up in financial services. You know, a work placement leads to a job offer. All of a sudden you're in financial services, and then got headhunted, went to another company, and from there on in, it was every 6 to 18 months I had a restructure. It's quite a changeable industry, and remains so. So with every 6 to 18 months that went past, there was a new opportunity, or there was a new job, or there was a promotion. And I was lucky enough to, ironically, be credible, professional, successful enough to actually secure those roles. So yeah, one thing led to another, and you know, 20 years. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there because I'm gonna get you to ask questions. Because otherwise, you won't shut me up for an hour, you see.
I love the way you're just so humble about it. You know, it's like, it's nothing to do with your bubbly personality or how fabulously personable you are about the fact that you got these promotions. It was just that, you know, it just kind of happened. But no, I can totally see why you were climbing the corporate ladder, and that people saw something in you. So I do have a question for you, and that is, when you felt like you had to leave university and be successful, not because anyone told you to, but just because you felt this kind of drive that was the right thing to do. Do you think that's because your peers were going out and doing that, or were they doing something different?
A lot of my peers were going to university, so that was a natural next step, I think, for a lot of my friends. But we were doing all kinds of different things, you know, biology and all sorts. And they went all over the country. The one person that did stay with me and has stayed with me since I was in nursery is my wife. And so we went to the same university.
No way.
And
You have known each other since you were at nursery.
oh yeah, when I was riding around on my really awesome red tractor, you know, she caught my eye, and yeah, we went to the same preschool, and we went to the same primary school. We ended up going to the same secondary school, same university, and you know, the rest is history.
I did not know that about you. I mean, I wonder how many people on this earth could say that.
It's quite unusual, I think, to find your soulmate when you're about 18 months, 2 years old. Who knew that's the journey we were going to take? But it's a great story, and she is the love of my life, and you know, she has saved my life on more than one occasion. So she is an incredible woman. I always joke that she's been stalking me my whole life, but to be honest, I couldn't have got through, you know, what I've got through without her. So yeah, brilliant story.
Yeah, so I know that when you say she literally saved your life, I know you really genuinely mean that. So tell us what happened when things came to a head in your job.
Yeah. Those last 10 years of my 20, you know, as climbing the corporate ladder, a lot of change. And the stress levels just continued to mount up. And I feel, just reflecting on it, I was always kind of a little bit stressy. And that was kind of coming from this wanting to do it right, wanting to make sure that I didn't let anybody down, which again, a lot of people get that. And what you do, you end up working harder and longer. And then with all the changes that are happening, you're kind of looking over your shoulder all the time, because you're thinking, well, you know, if I don't get a good performance rating, then I'll get knocked down, and then I won't get a pay rise, I might not get a bonus. And the next restructure that's going to happen in a few months' time, I'll be the next one out. So it instilled a lot of fear in me, which is painful. So all that low-level stress just started to build, and I got very, very anxious. Not that that's what I would call it, you know, I was stressed. But eventually, you know, after literally years of dealing with this and trying different strategies, you know, you say, oh, I've got a lot of work on, how can I manage this? So lots of people did try and help from a corporate point of view. But it just wasn't enough because of what was going on behind the scenes. And eventually it led to a place where I was in complete burnout. So I was just sat there in the office, this big glass building full of all these corporate suits. And it was about 2 days after I'd come back from a holiday. And I sat there, the eyes went blurry, started shaking, my heart's coming out of my chest. I just don't know what's happening. Scared me to death. I didn't know what was happening, and I was just having you know, a breakdown, and it just happened. And you know, one of the messages I give is that if you leave stress too long, if you don't deal with it, if you just think I'm just going to cope and cope and cope, eventually all those coping mechanisms that you've been using for all that time, they will start failing on you. And because they can't cope with it anymore. And the way the body and the mind deals with that is it just starts shutting down. It just starts shutting down, and you don't have a say in it. You just don't have a say in it. People think, oh yeah, I know, and you know, it won't happen to me. Well, I thought it wasn't going to happen to me either. But I sat there, and all of a sudden, just like that, the body just goes, I've had enough. And to come back from that is a long, long road. And in fact, that happened to me. You know, I thought I put everything into place after that, having then being diagnosed with depression and going on lots of courses and medication. And actually the same thing happened to me again 18 months later. But in many ways, it was a lot worse because You know, I was working crazy hours again because I had a lot of responsibility. I didn't want to let people down. But part of this whole journey was that, you remember I described myself back when I was like an 18-year-old. I diverged from that so much. I wasn't my true self. You know, I always felt like an imposter. I always felt like a bit of a fraud. I felt like I wasn't good enough, even though, you know, I was managing millions of millions of clients with billions of pounds worth of profits. And there's nothing to say that I wasn't doing a great job, you know, and everybody said that. But inside, I just felt as if I wasn't good enough. It's that really then ramped up the fear. And then I was working literally all through the nights, and you know that caused me to, you know, just collapse in a heap, and build up that depression and build up that anxiety to levels that were so high that, you know, even today I'm still recovering from it. You know, it's not something that you get over quickly, this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what happened. And that second time I had burnout, it actually was so bad that I ended up with an entire year signed off sick. So, you know, the next 4 weeks would come along and, no, you're not fit enough to work. No, you're not fit enough to work. And, you know, I did everything, absolutely everything I could. I did everything that the doctors were asking of me, everything that professionals were asking of me. I was no longer at work. So, you know, a lot of people think, oh, if it wasn't for work, I wouldn't be stressed. I'd see my family more. I'd be healthy. I'd get more sleep, all this kind of stuff. That's what you say to yourself. Well, like 2-3 months into my year of sick leave, I was feeling worse than ever. So whilst the environment and work is definitely a major factor, there's also a lot of, you know, stuff going on inside, and a lot of stuff to unpick from years and years of unhealthy habits, unhealthy routines. That, you know, is a lot of it up here, but it all comes through the body. So during this sick leave, not to go on about it too much, but we eventually went on holiday. Bearing in mind, I was holed up in a dark room for most of the time. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't talk to family. I just felt horrific, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. When you feel so disabled, you know, you can't look after yourself. You don't want to look after yourself, and it actually got to a point where on holiday a few days before, the stress was through the roof, and it was there in front. You know, we'd gone to a meal, a beautiful restaurant, and it's my family, my wife, my kids, my mum and dad, sister, in-laws. We're all there. We're all at this massive table, beautiful restaurant. It's been a bit of a stress getting there, and I'm just in my head. I physically can't cope with it anymore. It's like a stadium of voices screaming at me all the time, and my body is just exhausted. And it's then that I just realize what I need to do. You know, that's the, you know, the pit of my story is that moment when, you know, literally in front of my family, I decide that the only way out of this, because I cannot take it anymore, is to end my life. And you know, and people think it's a selfish act. It's not a selfish act. You love everybody around you, you adore them, and you do it for them because you feel like you can't even look after yourself. You can't earn an income anymore. You can't look after your kids. You certainly can't keep up with them. There's, you know, you've got nothing that you can give that's of value, and so you just want out, and that's the only way that you can think of. So yeah, that's the low point. Nearly had a tear. We said there might be tears, but look, I'm here, right? I'm here, and that's because my wife stepped in. I had the bravest conversation I'd ever had. I told my wife what was going on. She asked me on the way home. I had a plan and everything. I knew what I was going to do. Write letters to my boys, and then get my affairs in order. And she just asked me how I was, because she could see something was up, and I just told her. And she's the most calm, amazing woman. Because you'd think, oh my God, imagine telling your soulmate from 18 months, right? That it's got so bad you want to end it. It's not that you want to get away from everybody. It's not that you don't love everybody. It's just that what's happening in your head is so extreme that you just can't cope with it anymore. And you think you've tried everything. I've done everything the doctor had asked. I've been on all the courses. I had the medication. And yet I was still in this place. And when you get to that place, you think, I've done everything. If I can't cope now, and if we can't go on holiday and have a good time, then she was amazing. And she did share with me a few months back, actually, part of what she was thinking, because she was very calm. And she said, you know what, actually, I was really relieved. I'm like, what? You were relieved that I said I wanted to end my life? And she said, yeah, absolutely. I said, why? She said, because I thought you wanted to leave me. In her view of the world, in her perception, the worst case scenario was I didn't love her anymore and I wanted out of the relationship. And nothing could have been further from the truth, right? But what was going on in my head, it was a me thing. I didn't know how to cope anymore. And people that haven't been there, it is very difficult to describe. Okay, you know, it happens. Okay, you get to that point. But no sooner we got home, you know, it was to the doctors and then a whole load of extra treatment. And whilst I still thought, you know, no, it's still going to happen, something happened when I was with a psychiatrist, believe it or not. He didn't lie me on the couch and say, tell me about your childhood or anything like that, not like the movies. But we had a good chat. And within about 10 minutes of having this chat, he went, you've got something called generalized anxiety disorder. And I went, well, I know the word anxiety. I don't know what you're talking about though. And he explained that essentially it's where you're in fight or flight mode all of the time. So you've been under such stress for such a prolonged period of time, your brain now cannot tell the difference between basically normal life and running for your life. And it's put you in running for your life constantly. And as soon as this happened, it was like, oh, of course. That's why I couldn't put everything into place. And whilst I had medication for antidepressants, it wasn't actually dealing with this other thing that I had. And as soon as we got that sorted, literally I had these still on them, powerful medication, literally within 24 hours, the anxiety levels came down. And medication is not a cure. Medication is something that, and I know it's very controversial, but medication helps you live within a band. It doesn't resolve any problems. You've got to go and do the work on that and lifestyle changes and mindset changes and all that kind of stuff. But it allows you to live not with the extremes of anxiety and the lows of depression. Yeah. And as soon as all of that happened, it was like, wow. And then I was able to take on therapy, and we talked about core values, core beliefs. That's when I suddenly realized I diverged such a long way from who I had been. And literally in therapy, I stood up, and it was like shadows came down from me, and I stood up for the first time, feeling like, you know, myself for like 24 years. I felt like I'd reconnected with that 18-year-old and all the passions that he had, and all those innate abilities, skills, and knowledge that he had. And for the first time in such a long time, it was like, I know who I am again. This is me. And it was in that moment that I also got my passionate why. The why I do what I do now, we haven't talked about it, but I don't want anybody to go through what I went through, because all of this stuff is preventable. Yeah, when we start getting stressed, it's about the strategies we use to sort things out, how we can do things differently, how we can approach situations differently. When we have different types of conversations, how do we manage our work differently instead of having a to-do list, which, you know, we talked about today actually on my workshop. My to-do list had 800 things on it. It was in an Excel spreadsheet, 10 tabs of different types of work and projects, 80 odd lines in each tab. My to-do list was 800 things. That's a heart attack in a spreadsheet, right? That's right. That's what they do. The to-do list is like 1, 2, or 3 things a day. That's it. But because you get so overwhelmed, because you want to please people, because you want to make sure that you're not being awkward and that you're being seen to, you know, take on more responsibility, you become yes, I'll do that. Yes. Actually, the most important word you can learn, especially in business and corporate world, in the business world, is no.
Yeah.
but no, in a protective way. No, not now, because I've got these priorities and I know exactly what my priorities are. If that's going to knock that off my priority list, then this goes as well. Yeah. So it's give and take. Instead of just saying yes all the time, because that's what gets you into the trouble of then just not being able to manage. And so I've learned a lot through my journey. And so it was in that moment I committed to myself that I needed to share my story. I needed to share what I had learned, and prevent people from traveling that path where it gets to burnout. And then, I was lucky. I was seriously lucky, because I really shouldn't be here for many reasons. But I want people to make a mistake in some other area of their life, not this one, because this
Yeah.
one can cost your life. It can cost you, and if it doesn't cost you your life, it can cost you your relationships. It'll cost you your health, and it's just so preventable. But so many millions of people all over the world right now are just zombifying through life and autopilot, thinking they're trapped. They can't possibly move out of the job because they've got bills to pay, and how could they possibly cope without it? And I tell you, from my point of view, I've gone from a good wage to no wage. I still made it work.
Yeah.
Life finds a way. You find a way. Family finds a way. Friends find a way. The power in community is incredible. So it's not all on your shoulders. So yeah, that's kind of my story. I think it's time for another question, Vicky. You've been very funny.
It's such an amazing story, and I'm kind of upset because I've got my my website mentor logo like above. There you go. I've got rid of it. It's now not above your head, but so I find it really fascinating, because I wonder if you're late 20, I don't know how old you were when you had your initial breakdown. What were you? Maybe in your 30s?
Late 30s, yeah.
Late 30s. If your late 30s Martin had met you now, do you think all of that was preventable? Say you had worked with somebody in your early 30s, could that all have, the entire trajectory of your life could have been different?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% believe that, because it was how I was managing my work, how I was managing my time. It was boundaries. It was what I put value in, but consciously put value in. You always love your family. You always love yourself. You respect yourself, but you put them in the fast-paced, crazy world that we live in. They often come at the bottom of the pile, kind of not deliberately, but just because you put other things of value on top of the list. And actually, they're on the top of the list because you're fearful of losing probably your job, your income, and that's going to have a massive impact. I'd convinced myself if I lost my job, then we'd lose the house, my wife would leave me, I'd lose my kids, and I'd be homeless. Essentially, that is what I thought. That's the cycle you go through. So yes, if the challenge is getting somebody in their 30s who are doing quite well, they're progressing, but they're finding it a little bit of a struggle to actually admit that, I'm not quite sure I've got all the answers here. There's a lot going on, and it feels really out of balance, and it's been going on for a little while now. I'm not sure what I can do differently, because I've tried lots of different things. It's getting that person to then kind of admit that, and then put their hand up and go, I need some help. Because actually, there's a lot at stake there. We don't like to admit that we haven't got the answers, but actually, we don't have the answers to everything. Sometimes we don't even know the questions, right?
Yeah.
So having somebody that can guide you, that's been there, and go, actually, an effective way of managing your work, managing your peers, managing your management team, managing yourself, managing your family, in a way that you can still do amazing things at work, but you can also look after yourself, and you can look after your family. And in fact, rather than you thinking that that's a weakness, actually it becomes a superpower.
Yeah.
It makes you so confident. It makes you have great self-worth and self-value, because you know the trick is being able to make conscious decisions and do the right things for the right reasons at the right time. And not 100 things, 1, 2, or 3 things. Really focus and do a great job on that. And then you can get a sense of achievement from that. And that's good. When you've got a very long list of 100 things or whatever it might be, it doesn't matter how many things you tick off that list. You're always going to go, yeah, but I've still got another 60 things on the list, 70 things on the list.
Yeah.
So you're never going to give yourself a break. You're never going to reward yourself. You're never going to think that you're good enough or you're doing enough. And that's the cycle that we then start getting into. And we just work and work and work and work at the cost of everything. And when I say everything, from my story, you can tell it really is at the cost of everything. Because it might be a year, it might be several years, like it was for me, but eventually that stuff catches up with you. It's your body and mind trying to protect you. But trust me, it's a long, long journey. Once you've fallen over, I'd rather people didn't fall over in the first place, and that they just were able to manage things in a better way, had a better mindset about life, not just existing, which I think a lot of people do, but actually living. And that's something I've really learned since stepping away from the corporate world. Life is there for living. I know I've got some extreme experiences with death and stuff, but you live in an incredible world. You wouldn't know it if you listen to the radio and the news all the time. But the world is full of amazing, amazing people, and the communities that I've found, all over the world. I didn't even know existed. I didn't know that amount of good and that amount of kindness and that amount of people genuinely wanting you to succeed and genuinely wanting to help you and without anything in return. Yeah. I didn't even know that existed when I was in my corporate world because I was in such a bubble. Such a bubble. And it's like that bubble's been popped and it's like I'm seeing the world in 4K for the first time. And it's incredible, There's a lot to be said for the people in this world, and it makes you realize that there is more to life than just working. And if you're gonna work, we all have to work at something. But if you're gonna work, make sure it's passionate, purposeful work, something that fills your heart and is going to make a difference. Don't just do it to pay the bills.
But I mean, the thing is, all of that is just so true, and really powerful. My concern is that we have normalized that state of, how do we know when we are on the brink of going through what you went through? Because as far as we're concerned, all of our peers are doing the same. They're getting to work at 8 o'clock. They're leaving at 6. They're giving work everything, and they know that they're stressed out, but they don't know that they're on the brink of something catastrophic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, 2 of my 3 mantras are, you are good enough. So all that stuff about you're not good enough, and that's why you're working harder and harder, just to try and prove something, not even to yourself, sometimes to yourself, but to others. You don't need to prove anything. You can do everything that's being asked of you. You just can't do it all at the same time. You can't do it by yesterday. So being good enough is something that you really need to believe in. And that's confidence, it's self-worth, that you have value. But the second one is that stress and overwhelm are not a price or a tax that you have to pay for the privilege of working and living in the 21st century. And yet you're right, people kind of wear it like a badge of honor. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like that. You're not, when you step back and you kind of see how you're living your life, you can honestly believe that you were put on this earth, that you were created, all the trillions of things that had to align in the universe for us to be here right now, all of that to have happened for you to have lived every day stressed and overwhelmed and exhausted and lacking in relationship and not seeing your family and feeling resentful and guilty. And I can't believe that we were put on the earth for that. Yeah. And when you step back and look at it, you go, I'm so much more than that. And what I like to do is, my thing is about the hero's journey. I say, I've been on a hero's journey. I like to help people on their own hero's journey. A way of doing it is to kind of, think of your life as a book. You're writing your life story every single day. And if it helps to visualize it, kind of step away and look at that book right now. Look at the chapter that you're writing. You know, you probably don't feel like the hero, that's for certain. You've been pulled all over the place. You probably don't even feel like the author sometimes because you think everybody else is pulling the strings. And, you know, what's the tone of that chapter that you're writing in your life? And actually, how long has that been going on? And when you can kind of distance yourself from it and go, actually, yeah, maybe I need to do something about this. You know, and that's just one technique of trying to get people to see that perspective. Because if you're not seeing enough of your family and you know it, if you're not seeing enough of your kids and you know it, if you're working really, really crazy hours, whether that's in the office till 11 o'clock at night, or you just take the work home, or you're just working from home, which means it's then 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, or like me, just pulling all-nighters and thinking that, oh, it's okay, that's just how it's got to be. If you're doing that, if you're writing every single thing down because you can no longer remember anything, and you've just got one massive list and everything's urgent and important, and you don't know what the priority is, these are some of the signs. If you know that tightness in your chest, if you're thinking, feeling a little bit, you know, sick more often than not, if you get a bit emotional, you know, if you start having a little cry at night because, you know, you're thinking, how the hell am I going to even get up the next morning? These are really clear telltale signs that you need to do something different. You know, there's great quotes around it from Einstein, Tony Robbins. You know, if you carry on doing what you're doing, you'll get what you've always gotten. Yeah. So if you don't change something, you will continue being stressed. You will continue being exhausted. You will continue on that path that I was on. So it's kind of just really being honest with yourself and going, am I happy with my life right now? You know, yes, I've got a job. Yes, it's paying me this money, but my God, what's the price of that? And how long could that possibly carry on? You know, is there another way? And very often, because people say, well, it's okay for you, Martin, you left. I didn't actually leave. I couldn't work anymore. I literally couldn't work. And I knew that if I went back to that environment, I'd have to use every strategy I knew just to get through the day. And that's not living. But, you know, if you pick these things up and you start getting the mindset right and the practical actions right and your boundaries right, you can still work. You don't have to leave a job. You can still have a good job and you can still do great things, be highly respected. Actually, people will respect you more because you're doing the right things at the right time for the right reasons. And they're respecting you because you know your boundaries. Actually, this is family time now. No, I'm not going to do work. And people go, oh, yeah, that's all right for you to say. Honestly, you'll be amazed at how much respect you get, how much more confident you get when you are in control, because you are in control of your choices. You're in control of your decisions. People think they're out of control and they don't have a say. They just feel trapped. I guarantee you have a choice on what you do any single moment of the day. It's your choice. You just got to be sometimes a bit brave. Have a little bit of courage, like I did with my wife when I told her how I was feeling. And to really then have a hard look and go, you know what, maybe there's a different way. And, you know, people like me, it's not just me, but many coaches out there and guides and mentors and people out there that are genuinely want you to succeed, genuinely want you to have a life worth remembering, a life worth living. And there are simple things you can do. So that's what I do now. I transformed all that pain and suffering into the story that fuels me and my purpose to help other people. And I do that through coaching. I do that from speaking. I love speaking. I love getting in front of people and raising their confidence, raising the roof. And, you know, that's my passion now. You know, that's what I want. I want to wake people up. You know, come on, we can live, don't exist. This fire is getting really hot, by the way.
So, do you work mainly with people in corporate, or do you work with anybody?
Yeah, mainly. Yeah. I mean, my expertise is amongst that management, that leadership roles, because that's kind of where I got to. But of course, anybody that is in that sphere, either in business, corporate, or even owning their own business, because now I do that and I know how stressful that can be. We know how stressful that can be and how lonely that can be at times, right? Anybody that is really looking at their life going, oh, there must be a way that I can make this work. But yeah, mostly about the management, the leadership, because that responsibility they've got. And usually, like I say, they feel like they've got more on the line because they've probably got that 4-bedroom house. They've got, probably may have a family, and they got, married and all that kind of stuff. And they've got to a certain lifestyle because their income has generated this lifestyle, and they think that they can't possibly change anything. So, they've got to carry on. Actually, I've proven that it's not, you can actually still have the same lifestyle, but you can do things a lot differently.
You can step off. Yeah.
And it's about stepping up in your life, right?
Yeah.
How would it make you feel to, instead of being stressed and overwhelmed and fearful and anxious and exhausted, how would it feel to actually wake up, positive, looking forward to the day with a really clear purpose of what you want to do with your life, the changes that you're making in people's lives, and that that you can you appreciate the world around you, you appreciate your family, that that you've got set times when you're going to be seeing that family, that is precious time that you preserve. Nothing will stop it from that, rather than just kind of going from day to day and it may or may not happen. Having that sort of control in your life, control in a good way, and all those emotions that come with that empowerment. I mean, how would that feel? It's gonna feel great. Why wouldn't you want that in your life?
But actually, when you think about it, I mean, maybe you're different because you're working in this environment now. But when you think about the people that you know, how many of them genuinely jump out of bed in the morning and go, yes, today's going to be an awesome day?
Well, I know a couple. You're right. Maybe that wasn't a good example because I, for various reasons, jumping out of bed for me is quite tricky in the mornings. But it's about purpose. That's what it is. Whether you're jumping out of bed or not is not quite the answer. It's about having a clear purpose, a clear why as to what you're doing, that it matters. And if it matters, then it's going to matter to you. You're going to want to do more of it. And if it matters to other people in a good way, that you're serving them, making their lives better, that's only going to fuel it more. And you're just going to want to make your life around that. And it's about human connections and playing a part in this world in a really active way, and making the most of your life, because my life has nearly been taken away from me. Well, my life was taken away from me at one point. That's a different story. Nearly been taken away from me, and I've nearly taken my life away from me. You don't want any regrets, right? You want to, when it's your time, you want to go out kicking and screaming, going, that was a hell of a ride. Yeah. And you've got scars to prove it, and you've got the t-shirts to prove it. And it's like, I gave everything my best shot. Yeah. I don't feel like, and there's lots of studies about this, the stuff that people regret is the stuff they didn't do, the opportunities, the risks they didn't take, that they actually, they settled, they compromised for far too long. Yeah. And it breaks my heart when I see these studies of, when people are nearing their end of their life and they're questioning them about that. Think about that. When it's your time, go out kicking and screaming and having had an amazing time, and, enjoying this incredible planet that we've got, and the incredible people that are around us.
So you've just, this conversation has fired me up about a new initiative. I don't want to talk about me, but a new initiative that I've got on the back burner, and it's going to come to fruition this year. I'm going to make it happen. And just speaking to you makes me realize I've absolutely got to make it happen. So
you've got to make it happen, absolutely. And if I can help in any way, then you just do. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, well, I'll spill the beans with you after this, but this isn't about me. I want it to be about you. So I saw that you have got the most fabulous book in your hands. So I'd like to know what it is, because I caught a little glimpse of the title. And I know what it is because it's one of my favorite books. So tell me why you brought that book along with you and what you love about it.
There it is. This is The Alchemist. I can never quite say his name, God bless him.
So I don't know how to say it. I call him Paulo Coelho. but
there you go. That
whether
sounds good.
maybe it's not correct. I don't know whether I'm saying it correctly or not.
Yeah, this is The Alchemist. And if I told you it was about a shepherd boy going on a journey, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people go, that's nice. Yeah. But it is about a shepherd boy going on a journey. It is a book. It's a very short, it's a relatively short book. And from somebody who didn't used to be a big reader, it was a big deal me reading this. It was actually a book I was introduced by one of my mentors, my early mentors, Ted McGrath. He's over in the States. And it was Ted that I said in my story that I knew my why. I knew kind of what I needed to do in terms of tell my story and my life lessons, but I didn't know how to do that. And it was Ted that kind of enabled me to figure out how I use my story and build a coaching business around it. And it was Ted that said, this book changed his life. And I went, it's good enough for Ted, it's good enough for me. And it did. It literally changed my life. It's essentially about the universe. It's about listening to the universe. It's about listening to the signs, looking out for the signs, being mindful, I guess, of the world. You know, we've talked about going through life as a zombie and autopilot and all that. This book is an amazing journey of this shepherd, but it's what happens along the way and how things relate and intertwine, and actually a lot of stuff you would miss if you weren't paying attention. And that's why it's about, deliberate action, deliberate choice, and really being mindful in the moment. And I know it's difficult, it's not like we sit here talking about this and we're like it 24/7. It doesn't work like that. But we know what we know the skills, the techniques that can actually use this more often than not. And this is a great book if you want to really want to step back in life, get some perspective, and start paying attention to life rather than just waking up and going on autopilot. So I love this book.
I love that you brought that one. Have you read any of his other books?
I haven't yet, but I've got them all on my list. It's amazing. I started off with this one, and I've got like a pile of books now I've got to get through because everyone keeps going, read this one and read this one.
So I would say The Alchemist is his most famous book. I mean, he sold millions of copies of that. But I didn't read that one.
Million copies sold, people.
How many? 65 million. So I read, someone actually gave me, as I was getting on a bus from Nepal to Thailand, it's a long way. I don't think I went the whole way from Nepal to Thailand, but it was a long bus journey. And before I got on it, someone gave me my first ever Paulo Coelho book, which was By the River Piedra. I sat down and wept. And I swear to God, that book on that bus changed my life. So I then became a complete convert, and then I had to go out and read The Alchemist because everyone talks about The Alchemist. So yes, I love that you brought that book, and in fact, I've got it on my.
I will look that book up. Yeah, definitely.
I haven't read it for a long time, so I must go back and read it again because his books are like fables, aren't they? And they're just really short, easy to read books. So I'm with you on that. Go out and find Paulo.
Very visual, very very descriptive. You really get into the story and the environment in which it's based. It's very well done. Yes.
Brilliant. So,
conversation.
I've loved speaking to you. Look, 43 minutes we've been live. I said would be 50. but listen, let me just one final thing before we wrap up. How do people find you?
How do people find me?
Online.
So I'm on Facebook as Martin Seville or Empathy Coaching. Exactly the same on LinkedIn. Now, a lot of those busy professionals, they're all, that's kind of where I look a lot and give a lot of my support. But equally on Facebook, they get the same. So LinkedIn, Facebook, I'm kind of on the gram, but maybe not as much as I could be. It's about adding value and getting to groups. So Facebook and LinkedIn are the main places you can find me. I have got a website, but that's changing. And this lovely lady that helped me set up my website. So I'm making some alterations to that. So that's very exciting. So get me hook me up. Just hook me a message. On my pages, it's got how you can have a quick conversation with me. Just book in a call, go straight through to my calendar. Don't even have to speak to me to arrange it. So you can do that, or you just drop me a message, drop me a comment on anything like this. I love hearing people's stories. I've helped. The thing about what I'm doing is that I love helping people. And I've spent a long time now building my network of people around me, surrounding myself with amazing, inspiring people. That is something that everybody should do. So that if I don't have the answer, if it's something that I can't help with, I know somebody who will. I'm like pretty much confident now that I know somebody that will be able to help you. And the amount of people that I now refer to other professionals that then change their lives, be it on money or be it on nutrition or health, whatever it might be. I just love to hear people's stories, what's stressing them out, and what they're unhappy about in life, and let's see if we can get something sorted. So yeah, that's kind of just share, be open and honest. Behind closed doors is fine if you want to message me. I tell you what, I'm thinking, is there a time for a world exclusive? I don't know.
Yeah, go for it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want the scoop?
Yeah.
You're like the lowest lane right now. Right. Okay. So I'm a coach. Yes, I deal with stress, overwhelm, exhaustion. I deal with confidence. I help people regain their confidence. And the more I've been doing the confidence work, and the more I've been on stage speaking about the confidence work, I've really got a buzz from it. And there was something I did towards the end of last year that basically just changed my life again. Books change your lives, experiences change your lives. And I did a fire walk, right? But I also broke an arrow with my neck. Don't even ask. Go have a look on my site. It's got all the videos and stuff. That was a real game changer for me, because I know all the mind stuff. I'm a very physical person as well. And sometimes I think you need to do something physical to push through the boundaries. Now, I'm not a great runner like your good self, so I can't, not that I can't, but I'm not going to be running marathons. But when you put me in front of hot coals and your brain is telling you, don't be so stupid, this is going to burn your feet, and you go do it, you don't burn your feet, and you leave all that baggage and all that negative energy behind you in the coals. It is incredible. Okay. And when you're doing things with your neck and arrows, when you're doing the impossible and then you do it, it changes, right? It can have a massive impact on your confidence straight away. It could do what 6 weeks of a program can do, in a flash of a light. So this has really changed me. And so I'm going to become an instructor. I'm going to be trained by the amazing person, Lottie, that is one of the top 25 trainers in the whole world. She's going to train me. I'm going to be doing my own fire walks, my own arrow breaking, board breaking, glass walking, really crazy, very physical stuff that will just change your life in an instant. And it is something that I'm going to bring into my confidence stuff, my confidence workshops, my confidence events. It's stuff I can run for other people. It's stuff I could do for charity, which I really want to do a lot for. And so, yeah, there are some amazing things coming up. So we're going to be going over to Ireland, living in hobbit holes for a week and doing some incredible training. And when I come back out of that, then, well, the world is my oyster, because I'm going to be looking for some amazing people to come on amazing journeys with me.
Oh, wow. Well, I hardly dare say it, but I'm kind of up for that. So honestly, walking on hot coals, I would rather run 3 marathons in a row than walk on hot coals. So, and I'm not a marathon runner. I know I've done one, but I'm not doing any more. But yeah, walking on hot coals really frightens me. So, so I might get in touch with you once you're all qualified, because I'd love to do it with you. But your fire's gone out. Your fire, Martin, your fire's gone out.
My fire's gone out. I got Ryan Reynolds instead. Netflix for you, which means we've been on for nearly an hour.
That's it. They're bored of us. Right.
We're out of time.
Thank you for our world exclusive. I think that's really exciting news. And
you used a really good word, right? You said hot coals. That's really, really. How about that? You said that would put a lot of fear in you. Yeah, you're afraid of that. Well, that's good. Then apply that to the millions of people that are going through their life living in fear, living that they can't change, they can't make changes to their life. They've got to keep going this job that they hate, or that, you know, in the way that they're doing it, they hate, and they're living in that fear. What if we could break that fear very quickly? And you do a lot of work beforehand. You don't just put people on the coals. We do a lot of confidence work and mindset work beforehand. What if you could change that like that in a day? I mean, that's powerful. And that's why I wanted to kind of add this to my armory, because it is about the talking, it is about the mindset stuff. And then it's about proving to yourself you can do it. And when you do something like this, it means you can do anything. So yeah, absolutely. We're getting the gang back together. We're definitely, you and Shelley and everybody else. Kate, I know you're listening. And so, yeah, brilliant.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I think that's a fabulous thing for you to do. I totally see you doing that. I think it's brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for just having the courage to tell us your story and for doing what you're doing, because I think you're doing amazing work. I love what you're doing and can't wait to see more of it. So thank you for joining us, Martin. And
thank you for everybody for listening. I know it's been a long one. Sorry.
Has been a long one, hasn't it? Never done such a long one before. It was the fire. It was just so nice for warming our hands.
It really added to the ambience, I think, and it's got a timer, so you know it just told us when to stop. So yeah,
that's it. It was our sign. All right, thank you so much, Martin, and enjoy the rest of your day. You take care.
See you, everybody.
Bye.